So hello everyone, in this video we'll be working on some Flexbox classes. So let me just change the heading as well. So you can see that I have created three divs inside one main div, which is our container. And these divs are looking like this. And one problem is that whenever we want to specify flex, so what we actually want is we either want it to be in row or either we want it to be in column. Right now they are just normal divs, they are not flexed. So let's add some flex properties or classes so they work very well. So first thing I will add is for this text that I want this text to be center here. So for that, what we actually do in CSS is we align this text horizontally and vertically. But if I want that to be done using Flexbox, so I can make this text as flex and then I can align it by adding justify content and vertically align by adding just align items. So how can I do that in Flexbox? For that, I told you that you have to work with documentation always and gradually you will understand the things. So first we'll see that how we can actually set them in Flex. So for that there is Flex raw property. So for that it will make all the Flex items in a row, and then for aligning all these items we actually need to use the flex inside the box as well, because all these boxes are in one row as well as this 01 is also in the center. So we'll do that. So for that I'll be using flex first here. So I can add flex here and then I can add flex column and I can add justify center and I can add align center. Also this should be here as well, flex raw. Why I'm adding flex raw here? Because I want all these divs to be in one line. That's why I'm adding flex raw here. And why I'm adding flex column here? Because I want this text which is inside this div to be in center as a column. I'm showing that. Let's see if it works or not. You can see that this item is actually centered and all these divs are also in one row, but this is not coming vertically aligned. So let me just see the class first. Align middle, maybe the class I've wrote it differently, I think. Let's see that. So what is the actual class for that? So it is align items. Let me just go to that. So the class is items start, items end, items end. We want vertically control of that. So that's why we'll be adding uh, vertical items center. So I want the item to be centered, that's why. Now you can see that it is vertically and horizontally in center because I added this extra class which is item center. It is for controlling the cross axis. Cross axis means if your items are in row, it will vertically align that, because row is for horizontal. And if it is vertically aligned all the items, then it will align the items in column wise. So that is for that. So similarly, I can copy paste this same class in other ones as well. Like I can copy the same thing in here, so that will look good. Now all these are in center. Similarly, you can explore all these Flexbox and grid classes. I'll be sharing you flex direction. So flex raw is for directing all the elements in one row, which we did here. All these 1 2 3 boxes are in one row. But if I want them to be in reverse order, so I can also do that by adding flex raw, sorry, not here, flex raw reverse. I can add that. So it will be in reverse order. You can see that 3, 2, 1 is there. The third one is at the start, and then the second one and the first one. So it is reordered. So this is actually the raw reverse. Then we have a column, flex column, which we used here. So let's use it here as well. So if I do that, so it will take the default behavior for divs, which is it will align them in column wise. So flex call, it's not the column, it's the call class. So you might get confused in these classes, like I am confusing. So you can see that this is how we add flexbox class as a column. Similarly, we have flex call reverse, so you can use that if you want. So it will be reordered vertically or in column wise. So this is actually the flex direction classes. Then there is Flexwrap class. Flexwrap is for only like the CSS, what we do in CSS. We add Flexwrap wrap if the width is smaller than the width the in which the raw is there or the flexbox is there, then it will wrap to the next line, which means initially it will be in raw wise and then it can go to the next line. That is the flex wrap behavior. So if I add flex wrap here, so it will add this CSS property, which is flex wrap and wrap. So if the screen is smaller, so it will automatically uh, get into the next line, or if the width is smaller, then it will automatically get to the next line. I'm talking about the width of the container, not the width of the browser, but the width of the container. For example, if the width of the container is, let's say, 50, so let me just add it here, flex raw, actually. Let me just add 20. Now you can see that it is not wrapping, instead it is just making the size smaller. So I want all the elements to be in next line if the width is smaller, then it'll do that way. So if I increase that to 40, because that's not looking good, I think. Now what I can do is I can add flex wrap here. So it will automatically wrap to the next line if the width is not that good. So you can see that it is wrapping inside the next row. So if I add 60 here, so it is taking up the space. Okay, it's more than 10 rem, so let's add maybe 15 rem. So the container width is 15 rem, so only one item can be in one line. That's why it is not wrapping that up. But if I increase that to 25, now two items with the width of 20 can be inside that. Also the margin is already there, so let's make it 30. So now two items can be in one row. So it will actually make the two divs in one line, because the third one will not be able to fit in the available space. That's why it is wrapping that to the next line. This behavior is possible because of this flex wrap property, or this flex wrap class actually. So if I remove that, then the thing will be different. You can see that it is in one row, but the width of the element is smaller because it tries to fit all the elements in one row by changing the width of the child elements or the containers inside that. So these elements will be shorter. So if you don't want the width to be smaller, then you will write this flex wrap, then it not do this thing. So this is it, and this is flex wrap reverse, which means it'll wrap, but instead it'll reorder the things. So that is what it does. So if I add, just like the call reverse and the raw reverse was there, so you can see that it is actually changing the position of the elements. So these two can be fit inside the first, but it didn't go into the first row, but instead it go inside the second row. So it is reordering the elements. And then there is flex no wrap, which doesn't affect any wrapping behavior. So you can use that if there is a wrapping behavior. And there is flex basis. I forgot to tell you that flex basis is basically for changing the width of particular element inside the container. For example, you want the third element to be bigger than the other ones, so you can add flex basis to this element. You can see that the flex basis is given to it a larger, like the half of the space of the container, one fourth the space of the container, and then there is one fourth space of the container. So this is taking, these two are taking one fourth of the container, but this is taking the half of the container width. So that you can do without specifying the widths. For example, if I add a basis of one third, for example, so it will take the one third space, and if I add 1 second, then half it will take the space. Let's remove this flex wrap behavior. I know the space is not that good or not that bigger. So now you can see that it is taking half of the size, and these two are taking one third of the size of the container. So this is how we actually do bases. Similarly, you can increase the size by yourself as well by giving it arbitrary values like this. You can specify the percentage here, or in any units you want to specify, just like they are specifying. You can see that if I add basis 1, that means I'm specifying 0.25 rem of the width. Similarly, the other ones are. So this is actually what we do in this. And then there is other flex properties or classes. These are for the future ones. We'll not be working on them. Just let's understand the justify content, because all these are from the Flexbox tutorial. So you can check the Flexbox tutorial. In that we have covered the Flexbox properties and the classes, what are those and actually how they work. So all these are from the CSS background, so you can learn about them. And these classes which are being told inside that are explained in that actually. So justify content has some property or some classes actually which will apply these properties here. You can see that. So if I add justify start here, so if I add justify start, which is the default position, so it will start the items from the start, which is the default position. And let me just give the width of 100%. Now you can see that it is a lot bigger. And let me just remove this, and let me just add a width of, let's say, 20%, 20%, and 20%. So now you can see that it is starting from the original start index or from the origin. Then it is justify center for making all the things from the center. If you want all these items to be centered aligned, then there is end. So you can specify end here. So it will come on the right corner. Now you can specify between as well. So it will have the space between all these elements and spread. You can see that. So this is these are the classes. One more I think was there. Okay, it was around and evenly. So around is basically it will have the same effect, but it will have some spaces as well. So if I save this out, so it is basically the same behavior, but it will have the spaces on left and the right corner. Then there is evenly, which means it will evenly distribute the spaces between all the elements inside the container. So the spaces between all these elements are equally divided. So this is actually justify content, and I have already explained you the align item, so you can explore this. Like it is for starting from the start, it is for vertically or the cross axis. So if it is raw, then it will have the vertical axis, or vertically it will align the items. And if it is flex column, then it will horizontally align the items. So I can specify that if I want. For example, I can specify items center. So it will have the items inside this center. Maybe I have to specify the height as well. Then that will work. Okay, let's see. Item center. Yeah, it's it. Item center. Okay. Okay, let me just give it the height of 100 VH. Then that will work, I think. You can see that. So percent was not working actually. Now I can give it start. So it will start from the vertical direction from the start or from the top, and it was middle, and then there is the end. So it will go to the bottom in vertical axis. So vertical means it is actually uh, the cross axis, which means when you are in flex raw, if you are adding a flex raw, then the vertical will be the cross axis. If it is the flex column, then the horizontal will be the cross axis. So this is it, and then there is baseline and the stretch, which basically does the same thing actually. So if I add a baseline, then that will also make the things in the bottom from the text, like which it is besides of, and then there is stretch. So it will actually stretch the items to the full height of the container. Okay, there's item stretch. Item stretch. Okay, maybe that's not working because I have already specified the height, that's why. So this is it in this, because I have already specified the height for these divs, that's why it is not taking up. I have to remove that and then that will work. So this is it for this video. I hope you understood some Flexbox classes, and this is it, and we'll be working on the next part of the Tailwind CSS in the next video. Thank you for watching.